Good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully, we should be live. If this has worked, I will be amazed. I had to figure it out on my own today. So please, can you let me know if you can see and hear me okay? And if you can, it's a miracle. Miracle on 34th Street because, yeah. Oh, it says one viewer. So I'm not sure if this has worked. Oh, it says I'm live. Oh, God, maybe it has. Amazing. Yeah, Matt has just messaged me saying, "I think it's all okay." Right, let me switch my focus off. Okay, yeah, sorry to keep going on about it, guys. Obviously, because there's been some changes with our streaming software and regulations on Facebook and everything like that. So that's a little bit for the reason why I am just a little bit discombobulated about the new settings and things like that. Thanks, Remus, for that really helpful 2 minutes. No, I know I'm late. Look, I managed to figure out the whole StreamYard going live thing on my own. So yeah, I'm pretty chuffed with that, to be perfectly honest. So great to see everyone. My background's working. I'm seeing people's comments. Yes, I hope it's being recorded, Bilal. I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. I'm just chuffed at the fact that I'm live here and talking to you guys at the moment. So that's the most important thing. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it's on the streaming software and I'm pretty sure we are live. So good to see everyone. How is everyone getting on? Fingers crossed everyone's having a good week. Hope everyone is. Been speaking to quite a lot of people since I've come back from the world of being sick, and I think April was, a bit of a mixed bag for most people. Some people it was good, some people it wasn't. So it'll be good to hear everybody's kind of thoughts in terms of how you feel this month has started compared to last month. We're going to be talking about something very specific today in terms of the subject of what we're talking about. I made a little bit of a controversial post at the start of the week, so it'll be good to get your thoughts on that. And it is kind of a little bit of a rhetorical one, to be perfectly honest. I've never personally achieved £1 million profit on Amazon within 12 months, so I can't actually speak from experience here in terms of the subject that we're going to be discussing. Jake says working from the garden in the sun finally can't be bad. I know, who feels the weather's turned a little bit? I feel it has, for sure. Although saying that, I was stood in the freezing cold rain just yesterday for a bank holiday football tournament, and I felt like it was torrential. So I feel like that's hopefully coming to the end. Week after next, we're in Florida for a few weeks, so I'm hoping I'm going to be able to go away, and then someone will have emerged, and by the time I come back, it's going to be, we're all going to be feeling good. David's joined us. Noreen, Bilal is still watching, even though he's requested it be recording. So good to have everyone here. Hi, James. Hi, Cindy. Hi, Johnny. Good to see everyone. Just wait for a few more people to jump on. Okay. What is going on? It's still working. Right. Okay. I've lost the comments somehow. I don't know what on earth is going on, but I've lost the comments somehow. Okay. Yeah, I was really confused there. I'm just not going to touch anything moving forward. I'm just going to look at the comments on my phone, and that's it, and hope all goes well. So can you guys see if I am, let me just go and have a quick look. If I swap tabs, can someone just do me a quick test? Can you see what I'm seeing, or is it still on me? Fingers crossed it is. I need to shut my Facebook. Oh no, I can't shut my Facebook down because I'm obviously getting the messages as well. Put your hands on your head. I've done it. So can you see my screen now, which is I'm like showing a coffee hamper, or can you just still see me? Let me know. Still us. Still us? I mean, still me. I haven't got a split personality. It's still me. Okay, That's good. Oh, do you know what? I'm looking at that on the screen, so it should be absolutely fine. Right. Okay. Sorry, guys. I know this is amateur hour. It's just like I said, I'm still really getting used to this new streaming way of doing it. Okay. Thanks, guys. Really, really appreciate that. So, yeah, let me know. Let me know your thoughts. How has May started for you? I'm in a really fortunate position. I get to talk to quite a lot of you guys in terms of, how your sales are going, how you feel the marketplace is, what things are going on at the moment. And I think most people in a relatively good position, for, everyone feels that sales are albeit down last month. Maybe the trajectory has changed a little bit. So it's good to get people's thoughts in a wider sampling of whether or not that's still the case. So let me know in the comments. Just before we get started, actually, something our Hive joining fee is going to be starting. I believe it's going to be kicking in at 7 o'clock tomorrow evening or 7 o'clock on Thursday evening. I can't remember which one. So if you do want to join the Hive and you want the link and you don't want to pay the joining fee, whilst we're not making a big song and dance about the joining fee, because the reason the joining fee is going on is because there is literally hundreds of hours worth of content in the Hive, and it's got to the point now where we're questioning whether people, if they join and they leave really quickly, and if they're able to access that information, it's not fair on the long-term members, etc., things like that. But also, not only that, to be able to access hundreds of hours worth of valuable content that has literally changed people's lives for just £99 sounds pretty unbelievable when you say it out loud. So we've added a joining fee on. The joining fee is there for the reasons that I've just said. It's just due to the amount of content, but also to respect the existing members that we have, the existing long-term members that we have. I mean, I'll always stand by the fact people will come to me and say, well, how is it fair someone can join the Hive, when I've been a member for a year, and they can join at the same price and they get all of the access to the information? Well, I would always say it's a 2-point answer. One, the person that's been in the Hive already for a year has a year's head start. That's the way that I always look at it. You've had access to that information for a year, so hopefully you've been able to capitalize on it. And what I will say is, if somebody can come into the Hive and consume that much information that quickly, they must be some sort of robot as well. So it takes people to be time to be able to catch up on stuff as well. So yes, they will have access to the information immediately, but the chance of them being able to watch X amount of hundreds of hours to be able to get to the point of the knowledge that's imparted onto the person that's been in there for a year, it's just impossible, to be perfectly honest. There is so many hours in the day. And Nick has just said, well, I've just joined the Hive. Where do I start? Well, there's so much information. Nick, it depends on what you want to do. If wholesale's your bag, if you're looking to, improve on sourcing, etc., maybe start on Johnny's recent wholesale course. That lasted, I think, 3 or 4 weeks. It's a kind of intensive course where he ran through some information there. If you want to start with bundling, I would say probably the best part to start with bundling is the bundle hero workshops, and then follow those from there. So I've done a bundle hero workshop, then I've done a PPC one, and just this last week we went and did a listing one. That's got the most up-to-date information, because we have the full bundle course in the Hive, but times have moved a little bit since then. We have updated the information through live updates, but there's certain things like, which I'm happy to say on here because it's public knowledge, like we don't use generic anymore. We only, when it comes to launching bundles, we only launch under specific ways of doing it, and all of that information's in the Hive. But just have a kind of good look around see what's for you, have a look at titles of things. I think one of the things that's really funny is when people first initially join the Hive, they look at the Hive Live section, which is where we go live every Tuesday at 7 o'clock. And we talk about different subjects. Like tonight, there's a full update on brand registry. A few things have changed on brand registry recently. So we're going to go through a full update on that. But next week, we've got our new part of our new course, Profit Sting, that's going to be starting. And there's going to be some pre-recorded uploaded content which will be going in between this week and next week, and that is going to focus on reseller. So it's reseller information. So that's going to be new sourcing strategies and things like that. So it really, kind of does depend. So when it comes to the Hive Live next week, we're going to be talking about some of those sourcing strategies and things like that. So sometimes the Hive Live can be Q&A, sometimes it can be a bit of live training or discussion or something like that. So when people join the Hive, they look at the Hive Live section and they're like, wow, there's loads of information. They start going through that and we're like, okay, that's just the lives. There is full bundle course in there. There's a full EU selling course in there. There's wholesale information. There's some sourcing information. There's the SOP section. There's so much more to it on top of that as well. So, and that is continuously being updated. Hi, Rona. It's £99 per month. And the joining fee is £299. So that will be going on a bit later this week, but I can send you the information. I'll do it after the live. And it's, like I said, it's the most, as far as I'm concerned, it's the most up-to-date information when it comes to creating your own opportunities and expanding on and building towards 7-figure businesses around in the UK market at the moment. And we've just had a fancy new sales page done as well. So if anyone's interested in that, let me know, and I'm happy to drop you the sales page link, and you can find out a little bit more information about joining the Hive there if you so wish. So hopefully that was helpful. So that was just a little bit of an intro to be able to give you guys a little bit of a warning about when that joining fee is going to be taking place. So there's been a little bit of a weird week in the sense that I think there's been David posted in the group yesterday that's attracted quite a lot of attention about some issues to do with featured offer. Now, I don't know too much about this, and David's quite generously offered to be able to update his findings and hopefully his fix on that thread, on that post. So we'll look forward to that, because it was quite concerning. And I think if we're talking about building businesses and scaling towards the future, when you see a post like that, it becomes quite concerning, because you think, well, Natalie, you're here, and albeit I know it was a joke, someone said, well, how are you not interested in scaling to £1 million a year or whatever? And but there's valid comment in that. If Amazon is still in control, which of course it always will be, but how can we navigate this? If Amazon can literally shut off the tap, should I be putting all of these eggs in that basket? Should I be really building my future with Amazon when it's this volatile? So I get that. I absolutely get that. But what I said in the post at the time, and what I will always stand by, and this is coming from somebody with in the last 12 months who has experienced a suspension, a full deactivation, and also an OG Section 3. Which we were in the first wave of Section 3. Oh, by the way, new video coming on Section 3s this week as well, that's going onto YouTube. So I'll let you know when that's all done and ready for you guys to look at. Because I think at some point, I know it's predominantly for the US market, but I think we've got to be looking at Section 3s coming into the UK market at some point as well. But all of this, and taking all of this into account, is it sensible? The first question should be, is it sensible? Not is it realistic? That's a whole different question. is it sensible to be putting all of our eggs in an Amazon basket? Should we be building, on such a volatile kind of marketplace? And like I said, from my own personal experience, my answer has always got to be I've got through everything on Amazon that it's kind of thrown at us, purely because, one, we never give up. You only give up, you only fail when you give up. And two, I truly believe in the bottom of my stomach, essentially, I truly believe that Amazon, as much of a pain in the butt they can be, that they believe anything that they roll out is resolvable. And I truly believe this. You've heard me say this number of times. Anything is resolvable on Amazon, for the relentless. And that's the key. It's that communication. When we talk about creating listings on Amazon, we talk about it being a communicator. And with many of these issues on Amazon, there's two things you need to do. You need to become a bit of a detective and try and figure out what's happened and why it's happened, and then how you can fix it. But then at the same time, you also need to be able to communicate that back to Amazon. And that's generally through two mediums. It can either be through Seller Central or Account Health. Now, I'm not going to talk about the capabilities of Account Health or Seller Central, but from my own experience, if you are willing to work with them, if you are not scared of confrontation and communication, then you will generally, hopefully, always be okay. Now, what to add on top of that as well, because I know some people will come back and say, well, I'm currently deactivated at the moment. I've communicated, I've done this, I've done that. Unfortunately, it's not always going to be on your time scale. And just because you think you've provided the correct information, has to go through it, has to be assessed, and it just might not be done in the time frame or in the manner in which you want it done, unfortunately. And that's the way it is. That's the way that we have to deal with it. But if you were to ask me now, I am, in all the years that I have been doing this, I have only been made aware on one occasion where somebody has been unable to resolve something, and it was just due to the most extreme circumstances. So I truly believe that if you are relentless, I have seen people come back from fraud allegations. I've seen people come back from, issues with patents so bad that involves legal situations. It really is a case of you just have to keeping on. You just have to keep submitting, keep communicating, ringing up or pressing that call me now button on Amazon Account Health and saying, I've submitted this. Can we run through it? What do I need to do here? They will try your best to help you. And unfortunately, I think you just need that little bit of a inquisitive nature to be able to ask the right questions. I would personally, this is old sales talk. I would really try and stay away from, closed questions. Phrase your questions with, tell me about who, what, when, where, how, as opposed to, is it this? Is it that? Because they can only say yes or no. Whereas if you phrase something like, what do I need to be able to do to get this through at this stage? What do I need to be able to supply? Then they can give you that little bit more information, hopefully. Or even if they start it with, and I've personally had this with our deactivation when we were on a linked account. You've just got to keep going with it. I think when we asked something along the lines of, well, how do we prove that we are not connected to this account? Instead of listen to the difference here. How do we prove to Amazon that we are not connected to this account, as opposed to I'm not connected to that account? It's two very different things. And they come back and they said, well, we can't tell you, but all I can say is look for connections. Look for how your accounts could have got connected. And then once you have that, Once you've established that connection, we need proof from that connection that they are not connected. And we were like, what? And then we sat down and thought about it, and we thought, right, how could accounts get connected? Right. Could it be through a hotel? Could we have stayed at the same hotel? Could it be through a VPN? Could it be through all of these things? And we went through logically, and we eventually brought it down to it could either be probably a prep center or a VA. So what we did, we didn't know which one it could be. So what we did was we supplied all of the details of our VAs and who had access to our accounts and all their IDs. And we also got a letter from our prep center to say that we had no connection. This was the prep center that we were using, and they had no connection to this seller. And that's what appeared to work. I'll be honest, I don't know which one did it. Because they don't tell us, we were just, unsuspended the following, I think on the next submission, I think something like that. By the way, there's a YouTube video on that, and I talk about it all in detail if anyone wants the details on that. So yeah, Ben's there, who's going through this at the moment, unfortunately. And, he's feeling this at the moment. Mark Pent, I remember speaking to Mark, one of the biggest UK sellers on Amazon. And, he said, I was offline for 4 days on Prime Day weekend. Can you imagine the sort of panic and sheer fear that Mark would have been going through at that moment? You've just got to keep going with it. You've just got to continue, and you've just got to be able to, just keep going. Unfortunately, I've seen people come back from the worst scenarios. But unfortunately, like Ben's experiencing now, it's just not going to be to your timescales. Unfortunately, I don't understand personally why Amazon can never come out and say, look, all suspensions could be this amount of time. If it's this type of suspension or deactivation, it could be this amount of time. Just the most frustrating part is like having that never-ending date. And you know what will happen? And I don't want to give Ben false hope, or I don't want to make him depressed or anything like that. But it is so true. The second you start to think and you lose hope, and okay, this is it, I'm gonna have to move on. It's like that's when Amazon knows, and you almost find yourself reactivated in that point. And I have to keep saying, Ben, because I've seen so many people get through it over the years, and I've never seen, like I said, apart from one person who I do not believe will be able to reactivate their account given the circumstances. Everybody I'm aware of has always got their account back, that has never given up. I'm aware of many people that have never got their account back, but they've given up, essentially. I've seen someone get their account back after 3 years of looking like all lost hope. And again, I'm not saying, Ben, it's going to be 3 years for you, but I'm saying that there's no time limit. Unfortunately, there's no schedule. Amazon does not give out those dates, unfortunately. So you've just got to keep giving up and limit, and doing damage limitation where you can. Like I said, in the post the other day, to be able to, as hard as it is, you may need to make some tough decisions about VAs, subscriptions, things like that, because you can't keep endlessly funding everything without and I understand why you might be hesitant to do so, purely because you might think as soon as I do that, it's like giving up. But no, it's self-preservation at the end of the day. So those are some of the decisions that you might have to think about.
The Hive is a group of online sellers. We specialize in Amazon. We're a network, we're a community, and we're all about bringing success to everybody through expert content and resources that you just can't get anywhere else.
The Hive has SOPs, documentation, short videos, clips, long form videos, over the shoulder videos. It has everything you need.
Both for beginners and advanced sellers.
I mean, I probably thought that I knew quite a lot about the selling on Amazon in general, but then when I joined the Hive, it was almost like I only knew 10%.
We keep everything so up to date knowledge, up to date strategies.
Natalie, Matt and Johnny will just explain how it works in normal English.
The best part of being in the Hive is a community.
Any question you have, you can put it in the Hive.
And you can get just problem solved so fast.
You can ask a question, there's an answer there within 5 minutes.
We are confident that you are receiving the best level of content out of any training and resource group in the world.
Just quickly answer Daniel's question. Hope you're well. Yes, I am. Thank you very much. Currently got section 3. Do you know, let's say worst happens in the USA, gets deactivated. Will that also deactivate and make me lose access to my UK account? Now, again, the theory is it shouldn't because they are two separate accounts. However, poor Ben's like the poster child for this at the moment. He actually did have his UK account deactivated as well. But I believe it really will depend on the type of deactivation. Ben's wasn't a section 3. So as far as I'm concerned, a section 3, the type of section 3 that you have, Daniel, if it's supplier information and things like that, I believe it probably wouldn't. But again, who knows? I would say, and this goes for anyone. This is why I tell people not to give up. If you go and sell in the US market, continue selling in the UK, because especially now with the account health assurance, if you have account health assurance in, again, hopefully I didn't cut off. I don't think I did there. My screen went on to sleep. Oh my God, I'm going to have to fix all these things. Yeah, I should still be there. Fingers crossed. If you have account health assurance in the UK, which has now literally come into force, if you have account health assurance in the US, which is going to take you 6 months to build it up and get it, then you are as protected as I have ever known anyone to be able to be protected on Amazon. You know, so we all know big accounts, big sellers. The number one seller in the US got deactivated recently. So it's nothing to, well, before all this kind of came out, it was probably like six months ago, a year ago or something like that now. So it is a mistake, in my opinion, to give up one market and go into another. Purely if you get deactivated in one and you've got account health assurance in the other, it means you can still operate your business. Whereas the situation like Ben's was, it was, oh, I've just seen Mark's comment. That's amazing. Yes, that would be so helpful today. You know, that would be amazing if you could do anything to help Ben out, Mark. I really appreciate it. Yes, they definitely do. I mean, I had some IP claims the other day, suspected IP claims, something very different. But yeah, they gave me some notice, you know, of any action that would have been taken. And it gave me an opportunity to fix those because obviously we have the account health assurance and everything like that. So the new goal is to work your backsides off and to get through that account health assurance and get that and maintain that in UK, US markets, any of the marketplaces that you are selling in, but not just to hover around the 250 mark, because I suspect what will happen, more people getting used to it. If you have issues like IP claims, I heard somebody had an IP claim yesterday or today, and it took 60 points off of their score. So, you know, hovering around that 250, even once you've hit it for 6 months, is not going to be acceptable. So what I will say, and the only way to increase your account health assurance score is to keep your nose clean. Obviously, do everything you're supposed to do within the time frame that you're supposed to do it. Keep your account health record as clean as possible, but to sell. You know, this is where being a high volume seller really helps, because the higher volume you are, the quicker your account health assurance starts to pay off. But the ideal place for most people to be with an account health score is not just hovering over the 250 mark. It's anywhere 350, 450, 550 upwards. You know, that's where a protective state. So it's really, really, you know, important to make sure that you keep all of your marketplaces going that you're selling in. So should one come to an end, you can transfer operations to the other, and then you won't be suspended because hopefully you've got the account health assurance in place. So that's the idea, that's the blueprint and the strategy that I will be coaching people towards and working with people on, as well as the information in the Hive. It will all lean towards multiple marketplaces and protection of account health assurance in those marketplaces. So going back to what I was originally saying, this £1 million profit in 12 months, is it possible? Is it achievable? Is it sensible? That's the first question. Yes, absolutely. If you are working in multiple marketplaces and those marketplaces are protected by account health assurance in those. So tick, that's the first question that anyone would ask me. I'll just quickly answer Ben's one as well. Sorry, Daniel's one. Any idea how long it takes? Unfortunately not. How long is a piece of string? Mine took, I had a very different type of section 3. Like I said, we had the original OG ones, so there was no interview that took place. Some people got interviews, we didn't. What we don't know at this stage, touch wood, I don't want to bring it on ourselves, is once you have a section 3, how quickly could you get another one? Are you likely to get another one? All of these different types of things, we don't know that as yet. I'm sure many of us, I feel like after the last 12 months of a deactivation in section 3, I'm like, please, no more. Give us a break. Just give us a break for a bit, Amazon. But I'm sure we will get to a point where someone gets a second one. We don't know if there's a time limit. Like anything like this with Amazon, it until we've been through it, until we come out the other side, we don't know until we know, essentially. But I've seen people get approved the same day. I've seen people within an hour, Daniel. I've seen people that take a week. I believe our original submission through to acceptance, because we didn't have any type of rejection, I believe that was around 8 days, something like that. But like I said, I speak to someone like Noor, who was very helpful in her information that she supplied around her section 3. I've got a funny feeling Noor's was like 48 hours or something like that. So how long is a piece of string? I feel like an idiot when I give those sort of questions, unfortunately, those answers, but I don't want to give false hope. So yeah, it's as long as it takes, unfortunately. I completely agree, Jackson. Sorry, I completely agree, Daniel. I would say if you're likely to get one, it's around within the first 6 months of selling in the US. So the longer somebody is selling, the less experience, the less likely I have seen that. So when you heard me say keep your head down and get to that 6 months as quickly as possible, that's there's 2 reasons for that. Is because I think you're more likely to get one in the first 6 months of selling. So yeah, good. Yeah, she's great, and also she's really helpful, real team and community player, essentially, that's got nothing to gain, absolutely nothing to gain, but is so helpful with other sellers. So if you're watching, Noor, thank you for all of your help on that. So going back to the question and how this came about, £1 million profit in 12 months. So I actually have a coaching client, a mentee, who is on track for this. And as many of you know, I put out a post earlier in the week, taking on a small training group for a new type of selling on Amazon. And, this person has already been through it. They've been doing it for probably around 2 years, 18 months, 2 years, 18 months, something like that. And I work very closely with them on this, and this person messaged me, and like I said, I'm a bit of a understater and underseller, and everybody that I have been through this process with, that has taken action on it, I'll always say that's taken action on it, is doing incredibly well, lots of profit, lots of security in their selling, and everything we spoke about earlier, kind of building on expanding to just being an Amazon reseller or an Amazon seller into building an Amazon business, a really robust Amazon business. And so this person messaged me, saw my post, and obviously this is selling on Amazon has changed their lives, and really changed their lives. And he messaged me and said, what do you think the response would be if you put in that post, I'm on course for £1 million profit in 12 months? And as a joke, it wasn't a joke. I actually replied and I said, I think it would blow people's minds. And I think they would think I was lying. And not because you guys have got any reason to think I'm lying, but it sounds so implausible, especially if you are in a position in your business where things might not be going so well, or if things like Ben, like Daniel, you're facing the full brunt of the challenges that people experience when it comes to selling on Amazon. And I must say, this person, the position they're in now versus where they were, and and we ended up talking about it, and we got into this. Anyone that knows me and follows me through the Hive and what I talk about, I'm interested in, what makes people tick, especially from a sales point of view, from a customer buying point of view. So I said, oh, well, I'm maybe interested in doing a post about it and see what sort of response, because I'm curious, because even I have trouble processing that myself, knowing that Amazon is the way it is. Like I said, I've never made £1 million profit on Amazon in 1 year. So, when you've not done something, you find it hard to believe, even though you can see it in front of you. It's all tracked out, it's forecasted, and by the way, of God, guys, we're talking about if nothing goes wrong, touch wood, if nothing goes wrong, if it continues at the same trajectory that we're on right now. So another nice comment for Nor there. I'm gonna tag her in there later, so hopefully she sees the nice comments. So if you continue on the same trajectory, so even I can see it, I can see the forecast and everything like that, but because I've not personally achieved it myself, it feels a little bit far-fetched, to be perfectly honest. So I wanted to see what people's reactions was, purely because I wanted to open it as a discussion point, because I think it's fascinating. Because even when I first started telling me on selling on Amazon and all the opportunity, bearing in mind it was a lot more unsaturated then, standard arbitrage. I think this always blows people's mind. When we first started selling on Amazon, we didn't touch anything below 50% ROI and £5 profit. That's how good it was back in the day then. Opportunity was massive. I ran an account for about 2 years just based on selling Disney store products. That's how unsaturated the market was at that point. But even then, the possibility of thought of somebody achieving £1 million profit on Amazon felt so kind of far-fetched at that time. So bearing in mind all the all of the awkwardness that Amazon has put in between now and then, and the saturation, more sellers coming on board, more education in the space, and more people know how to sell on Amazon, more facilitating pieces of software and deal sheets and all of these, that's made it easier for people to get started selling on Amazon, all of these things, and come into place. So the thought of it, like I said, is quite mind-boggling to be able to go ahead and do it. But I've seen it on track, kind of going to happen. But it's not something that's happened overnight. So I was curious to see people's responses. And one, I was actually really pleasantly surprised, because the majority of comments were based around, yeah, sure, why not? Anything's possible. So I love that. I love the fact that people really do think it's possible, and nobody thought I was telling porcupines as well. So that always helps. But also, even the ones that did, not necessarily, nobody said no. Nobody said no, it's not possible. But even the people that did question it, like you'd need a lot of money in the bank, or you'd need this, you need that. Absolutely. This hasn't gone from my guy starting one, one day to 12 months later, £1 million profit? Of course not. He's a very experienced seller. So I don't want to missell this to anyone in terms of this kind of theory of £1 million profit in 12 months. Very experienced seller, been selling as long as I have. Multiple marketplaces, all of these different kind of areas. And I think contributing factors that you need to experience this type of success and selling on Amazon. Simon's asked, are they using a prep center? Yeah, absolutely. So these are the type of things that you absolutely need. But also at the same time, you do not need a 30,000 foot square warehouse as well. Anybody that knows me knows I operate, and I teach people to operate in the high margin space as well. So note, we don't talk about a certain type of margin. We talk about monetary profit, which is a lot easier to achieve in the higher selling point, higher margin world. It is, it's true. People that make lots of monetary profit generally have quite a lot of margin. Volume sellers tend to have high ROI within their business. So we always focus on margin, always have, well, I say we always have, definitely for the last 3 or 4 years within the business. But let me give you a bit of an idea. So, because I want this to be something that you guys know can be achieved, because it's a motivator. Yes, will all of you achieve £1 million profit in 12 months with selling on Amazon? The chance is no. But it's a bit like the Roger Bannister 4-minute mile. Once you know it's been achieved, which we have someone on this call who said that they've achieved it anyway. But once you know it's possible, once you know that people in the communities that you are in and the people that you are working with, once you know it's possible, it definitely makes it more achievable in the mind's eye. That's the way that I feel. And that's certainly what happened with the 4-minute mile. So that's the reason why I wanted to talk about this in, without obviously giving who it is and what they're doing and everything like that. I can't give you that, guys, unfortunately. But what I will say is the process and what they are doing, anybody can do. So it's not like I'm talking about someone that's doing it private label. It's all reselling or brand driven reselling as well. It's not something that's unachievable because they have a special type of skill. I will say this person has a very unique quality, which I don't have, which I believe has been a major contributing factor as to why they have achieved this. They have an incredibly high risk threshold, which in order to deal with cash flow and some of the things that Mark's mentioned in there, I simply don't have that, whether it's being a woman of a certain age, a mum, female, I don't know. Circumstances, I'm not a very risky person. I will take risk, but I have to mitigate that risk as much as possible. So I believe that one of those elements is one of the contributing factors as to why this person is on the trajectory that they're on as well. Cash flow is massive, but they have achieved this by using a prep center and a team of maybe 3 or 4 people, 3 or 4 full-time people, including themselves. But this person is a process person. I was going to say a process god. Very good at processing, very good at attention to detail. Some of those, really strong characteristics that you need in order to do this. But like I said, that risk threshold, they have this. I don't. So I'm not saying it's necessary. I'm not saying it's absolutely necessary, but you are going to be dealing with high levels of money, high levels of cash. In order to generate that level of profit, whatever way you look at it, you have to spend a lot to be able to generate that type of profit. And I think what's really interesting, once we've been through the full process of that, and with their permission, which I'm sure they'll be happy to give, that we will have the solid figures and everything that we'll be able to say, look, if you want to achieve £1 million pounds profit in a 12-month period, you need to spend this, you need to do this, it needs to be at this margin, it needs to be at this ROI. So it's almost like a case you know, a case journey that's kind of naturally evolving, which I'm so grateful to be part of. But it's having that clear vision and strategy. I think that's really important as well. That's why it's important to set goals, forecast where you want to go to. A bit harder when you're starting out because you've got no information to base it on. But once you get a period of time where you are operating at a certain level, you're able to take those figures and look at what happens if. So what happens if I increase my spend? I'm currently spending this and I'm producing this at this level. So if I was to spend this, it now means I'm able to build a you know, a kind of blueprint of where I need to go in increasing my spend. Because honestly, some people say to me, oh, well, I want to do more, I want to do this, I want to do that. And sometimes the simplest answer is, especially in the reselling space, well, you just kind of need to spend more. And it sounds the most arbitrary kind of Billy Basic bit of advice. But if you are spending this and it is netting this and it's and it's producing this and it's netting in this, and sometimes you just need to increase what you're doing whilst, you know, increasing more of the success that you're seeing with that and getting rid of the stuff that's not working along the way as well. So, you know, having that clear vision and strategy, I think, is really important once you get to a certain level, but you almost need to get to it, then build it, of knowing where you're going from there, and then go through that process of going through that. Oh, sorry, the screen's come off again. Hopefully I didn't go away. I didn't last time, but yeah, I'm still here. Going through that process of putting it all together. You need to know your market as well, guys. So that's something, again, this person knows their market. They know the market that they predominantly sell in. They don't specialize in any type of area. It's not a niche, but there are definitely areas, multiple niche areas that they specialize in. But they understand the market size and they know how to dominate in those particular areas as well. So that's really, really important. Are you going to get to this sort of level by selling 3 items of, you know, a particular Barbie doll twice a year? No, there has to be some sort of continuity and consistency in what you sell. Replens. So you have to sell the same products over and over again, albeit through reseller products that maybe you have exclusive deals. This person has no exclusive deals, but they do have wholesale connections. Or also creating your own opportunities where you will have control of resale. I always say to people, when it comes to selling on Amazon, if you do not have one of two things, if you do not have control of sale, i.e. some sort of exclusive deal, or control of the listing, i.e. you created your own listing, you are mad if you are buying any type of high volume of products, because you could get that tap turned off at any time. Yes, it's okay to replan, of course, but never replan more than 30 days worth of goods, because if you do and Amazon shuts that listing down for whatever reason, then you're going to be, you know, wondering how you're going to sell 500 Barbie dolls on eBay that actually was quite a specific niche on Amazon that only the Amazon audience was interesting. I mean, Barbie dolls was a really bad example because you'd be able to sell those anywhere, but you get the idea of what I'm saying. So you have to have a certain element of control, and this person has it. So they understand their market and they dominate in a particular area in that market. And that's how we're able to forecast and put these kind of predictions together. Because to be perfectly honest, for anyone to get him to lose the offer of the to lose his buy box positions, they would need to be spending what this person is spending, and it is considerable. I do not know many people that could match this person for their daily spends as it stands at the moment. So yeah, that's how we're able to forecast certain things. You know, I can come onto some of the listings and I will be able to sell them, but I will not be able to wrestle the control of the buy box, essentially. One of the ways that you can do it as well is by having a unique value proposition, which for any of you that may not necessarily know what that is, I would consider that to be able to be something like creating unique bundles. I know the word unique is in there, but that's a coincidence, I promise you. You have to have a unique value in the marketplace in which you're in. And one of the ways to achieve it is through creating your own listing and having the control of that, and not having other people come on and ruin the pricing of what would be a great selling product. So it's like, whenever anything goes really well, having unique bundles and selling unique bundles on Amazon is like when you find an amazing listing and it sells, and all work, you know, and all sellers are being harmonious on the listing, and you're just getting a great profit and you're getting great sell of a particular item, and it's like that, you know, forever, essentially, because obviously on the existing listing, it's you might get that for a period of time, but there's a good job, you know, some twat's going to come along and do something to that listing, and you know, the harmony will all disrupt, essentially. So yeah, so having a unique proposition within the marketplace, i.e. control of your own listings, that is another way that you can ensure that you can, you know, put that through. Should it be done under generic? Absolutely not. There are no, sorry, there is, yeah, of course there's circumstances. There is one circumstance which any listing should be created under generic, and that is if it's a generic product. No branding, no GS1. It's just, you know, generic. That's what generic should be used for. One of the key important factors, again, this comes back to building this business with a certain area of replenishable element, whether it's through your own listings or having, you know, control of exclusive products, or controlling the demand of a product or the supply of a product. So one of the other areas is it has to be scalable. So you have to have one of those elements for this type of thing to be able to work, because you have to have what is known as the compounding effect. If you do not have that, then it would be almost impossible, I think, to achieve this type of success, because you wouldn't be able to have the manpower or the resources or the supply, to be perfectly honest, if you didn't have a certain area of replenishability in the products that you're selling, for it to contribute to that compounding effect, for it to build up over a 12-month period. I think it would be, I'm not saying people don't, I'm not saying it's not possible. I would say I think it would be incredibly hard, and you would need a huge amount of resources to be able to do that. And of course, little things like, you know, what we spoke about earlier, cash flow and leverage, knowing when to borrow, knowing when to sell. Again, I'd be a liar if I said that this person wasn't leveraged within their business, being able to use finance to be able to help them scale at the right times. But there's areas of strategy with that as well. You don't blindly borrow, and I'm not saying this person has done it, by the way, either. This is just a you know, a random figure I've pulled out of the air. You don't borrow 100 grand and just dump it in the middle of July on you know, swimming pools, because at the end of the day, you know, if the summer is gone by that point, then you won't be able to sell them. So when it comes to leverage and scalability and borrowing money, you have to do it at the right time within your business, and you have to have access to capital as well. So if somebody came to me and said, right, I want to do £1 million you know, profit in the next 12 months, but I've only got a £5,000 limit on my Capital One card, then that's not possible. You have to have access to credit. You have to, not necessarily cash, which I know somebody commented saying, well, you need 200 grand in the bank to be able to do that. No, you have to have access to the facility of that when you get to this point, which this person has only got access to because they've built a really good business in the first place, if that makes sense. So there's lots of compounding effects here, guys. It's not just someone that's done this from today to tomorrow and they're a brand new seller and they've done that. I wouldn't want it to be missold as that at all. This is someone that's worked hard, like I said, got that element of risk, which is quite unique. Some people have it, some people don't. You don't need it for this, but you need to be able to financially be able to manage probably some quite stressful financial situations. And yeah, just all of the other things we talked about, having the control of supply or managing the demand on Amazon, but most definitely be in control of your own listings. And that's what you would need in order for you to go ahead and build this type of business over a period of time with a team in place that you trust. And you would know that if something were to happen to you, that they would be able to continue on. That has to be scalable. So therefore, you need that replenishable part of the business, as well as, utilizing prep centers. I'm going to play devil's advocate here. This person utilizes prep centers. But I would say, obviously, you could also do the same with your own warehouse and possibly even give yourself, this person would never want their own warehouse. So you could probably potentially do more. I would say if you have your own warehouse and you're prepared to do, seller fulfilled prime, merchant fulfilled, things like that, you would give yourself even potential more opportunity for the future as well. So that's it really. So I don't know if that's made it any clearer. I don't know if that's legitimized what I've said even more. I'm not particularly bothered if you guys, I was going to say I'm not particularly bothered if you guys think it is, or even if you don't believe it, because I know it to be the case. I'm working with someone that is absolutely going through this process at the moment. But what I wanted, and the main purpose of today was, I said, that kind of, it's not a carrot dangle, but it's more the 4-minute mile dangle, So once you know that somebody within your very immediate community is working towards that, thanks, Cindy. Am I bothered? Once you know that somebody is working towards that, does it make you feel differently? Or is it a target that feels so far away from you are at the moment? I hope it's seen as a motivator. Are you going to go to, in the next 12 months and achieve £1 million in profit? Probably not. But once you know it's done, then that's something you can be able to work towards. I'd be very surprised if 95% of the people that watch this or are part of this community, one, would achieve it or even would want to achieve it as well. You have to, I think personally, live to work with this type of strategy as well. Whereas I've always said, I don't live to work, I work to live. So from that point of view, I think you have to maybe sell your soul a little bit to the business as well. So it's all of these different types of elements. So I just wanted to take a bit of time to explain a little bit on what could be looked at as a very ambiguous post, £1 million profit, such a big statement without a lot of context. So hopefully that's given you guys a little bit more context about this type of, sort of journey that the seller has got in front of them. So that's it for today, really. Hopefully it's been a helpful session. Oh, just going back to James's question, how much does it roughly cost to get started on bundles? A few things. One, you need to join the Hive if you are not there already. So there would be the cost of that, potential cost of trademark up to a couple of £100. Stock itself, you would definitely need software like Helium 10. I would say as long as you've got a good grand behind you, that's definitely enough to get started, but it's not a grand that you would need to spend all at once, because we very much, you heard me say today, I'm very risk averse. So from my point of view, You know, when I first started in bundles, I would only be launching things, you know, that had 12 items in stock, 6 items. That we always test the market before we go in and you know, start stocking hundreds of products. So just because you have control of the listing, it doesn't mean that you go in deep with stock to start with anyway as well. So hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, I shall be back next week, guys. I do have to run, so I do have an appointment that I need to get to. But any other questions, pop them in the group. I think hopefully this has been a good session today. I will be back this time next week. If you're watching via YouTube on the replay, do the usual. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Hopefully you'll agree we provide some of the good content out there that people want to hear. So it's good to see everyone. Sun shines out. Have a great week and continue to post any questions in the group as the week goes by. And we will always do our best to help and get those answered for you. So have a great week, guys. See you later.